Authorities in northern Gaza say at least 19 Palestinians have died in Israeli airstrikes. Health officials in the Strip say around 150 people have been killed this past week around the Jabaliya refugee camp as Israeli forces pound the area from the air and ground. The Israeli military issued evacuation orders to what it calls safe areas in the south. But Palestinian and United Nations officials say there are no safe areas in Gaza. Well, let's speak now with Sam Rowe, Senior Deputy Director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. He joins me from the Gaza Strip. Thanks for joining us on DW News, Sam. So what's the situation in and around Jabaliya refugee camp at the moment?
Thanks for having me on. The situation in and around the area is absolutely desperate. As was said at the top of the show, the area has been subject to intense bombardments, intense clashes for a number of days now. We've seen more, or we've recorded as the United Nations, more armed incidents just in the last few days, 3 days, than we did in the entire month of September. We don't know precisely how many people are there. We estimate tens and tens of thousands, and these people are caught in the middle. They're being ordered to evacuate, but they even if they wanted to, there's really nowhere for them to go. They're caught in the midst of fierce armed conflict. We're hearing colleagues and staff who are up there that sometimes they're able to move around within the area when there are pauses in fighting, but they're not able to get out of it. So they're very, very prone to what's coming at them from the air, from the ground, and from the clashes that they're caught in between.
I just want to ask you, because Israel is ordering people to leave, and they're saying that there are, quote, safe areas in the south of the Gaza Strip. I just want to know, what's your reaction to that?
I mean, I'm in part of the safe zone, the self-declared safe zone by the Israeli authorities. And, you know, we hear bombardments every few minutes, the rattle of machine gun fire, fire from the air, from the sea. There have been countless reports, countless incidents over the past 12 months of people, whilst en route to these so-called safe zones, being hit, being targeted, being injured, losing their lives. So one element is the security and the safety element. It simply isn't safe for them to be out on the roads, including passing the checkpoint that separates northern Gaza from the rest of the Gaza Strip. The second thing to say is that there simply isn't any space. What we're seeing is the entire population now, 2.1 million people, being ordered into an area of land that occupies less than 10% of the Gaza Strip, which was already amongst the most crowded places on Earth. This area, the humanitarian zone, is largely beach. It's scrubland. There's no services there. There's no water infrastructure. So people are being forced into very squalid conditions. And as a result, many are choosing not to go, or else there are those who simply aren't able to go. They're ill, they're infirm, they're in wheelchairs, they're unaccompanied, and they just don't know what to do.
Now, briefly, if you could, because we're unfortunately running out of time, tell us about the ability of UNRWA, as well as, say, other NGOs, to provide help and support to the people of Gaza. How is that holding up?
In the north, it's very, very difficult right now. We are running at a number of schools that are operating as shelters. We have health points, but we as the humanitarian community have really not been able to get any food into northern Gaza for about 2 weeks now. Some fuel has got in to support bakeries, but, you know, as people are evacuated from certain areas because they're unsafe, our services also have to move. We have water wells, we have water points set up where populations are. When they have to move, we have to reorient those services, and we can't when we're faced with heavy bombardment in circumstances such as you've shown in your videos.
Thanks, Sam. Sam Rowe, Senior Deputy Director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. US President Joe Biden says he is, quote, absolutely urging Israel to stop firing at UN peacekeepers in Lebanon. It follows incidents in the past 48 hours. The peacekeeping force, known as UNFIL, says explosions hit its Nakura headquarters on Friday, injuring 2 personnel. That followed another strike on Thursday in which 2 soldiers were hurt. Israel's military says its forces were responding to an immediate threat close by. Israel has been escalating its operation against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and on Saturday warned residents not to return to their homes. Let's cross now to Beirut and speak with Andrea Tenenti, spokesperson for the UN interim force in Lebanon, known as UNIFIL. Thanks for joining us on DW today. So, first and foremost, several of your colleagues have been injured by Israeli attacks in recent days. How are they doing, and how do you and your colleagues feel about what has happened?
The peacekeepers that have been injured, they are recovering. One was more seriously injured, but they're all okay. The situation, of course, is highly concerning because our positions and peacekeepers have been hit several times in the last several days. So in addition to peacekeepers being injured, we have our bases been hit, cameras, communication system, illumination. So very, very serious, especially after the Israeli forces told us several days ago they asked us to move from certain positions along the blue line, and we have a large number of bases and positions along the blue line, but the decision was taken to stay, and we are still on the ground.
All right, so you decided to stay, but you were given warning by the Israelis. So were you expecting something like this to happen then?
Well, the situation has been very unpredictable in the last several months. The conflict, as you know, has been going on for 1 year. Very difficult to say. We are a peacekeeping force, so it's very surprising to hear one member states asking peacekeepers to move from their positions. We're here because the Security Council asked us to be in the south of Lebanon. The Security Council will decide how to move forward. It's not up to member states to decide what to do with a peacekeeping force who is trying to very hardly to bring back stability in this region.
So how difficult is it then for you to operate there?
It's very challenging because the shelling and the bombing is ongoing. Our peacekeepers are inside the bases. It's important, it's paramount importance to ensure safety and security of our troops. So we have very limited capabilities at the moment, but we are still operating. We are still reporting to the Security Council. We do have radars that are able to see and monitor the shelling and the bombing of these days. So there is still an international presence in the south, and we're still trying, which is the most important thing at the moment, to bring to coordinate humanitarian activities in the south, where thousands of people are stuck inside villages without basic needs. So it's very difficult because we don't get reassurances of safety, but we are trying to do that.
Now, Israel alleges that Hezbollah militants operate near UN posts and UNIFIL hasn't done enough to prevent it. Is that what UNIFIL has witnessed?
Well, I have to say that hitting our position and our posts, saying that because Hezbollah are in the vicinity, but it's not something that we have been monitoring, especially when the positions that are hit are not only close to the blue line, but you hit cameras and you have drones entering inside the base where peacekeepers are in shelters. So it's very dangerous and very concerning situation. So especially after IDF entered inside Lebanese territory.
Now, there's been widespread condemnation of the attacks of the UN peacekeeping mission, with the UN Secretary General calling them, quote, intolerable. Joe Biden said he urged Israel not to hit peacekeepers. Now, Israel has said it's reviewing the incidents. Do you expect Israel to end its mission in Lebanon anytime soon?
This is what we are of course, we are not only hoping for, but entering inside Lebanon is a violation of Lebanese sovereignty. And the solution has to be found, and it's not through a military means. The solution can only be political and diplomatic. And there is a solution. The solution is the full implementation of 1701, a resolution that stopped the conflict in 2006, and is a resolution that still has the main provisions that are very much valid even now. The important of 1701 is the implementation and the commitment of the parties, but all the elements are there. So there is a solution. We need the commitment.
All right, and finally, Mr. Tenenti, will we see changes to UNIFIL's mission in Lebanon?
You know, the mission was established by the Security Council in 2006. Will be up to the Security Council to decide if there is a need for amendments to the resolution. So up to the 50 members of the Security Council in New York.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. Spokesperson for the UN Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, Andrea Tenenti. Thanks for joining us on DW today.
Thank you.
Let's now go to journalist Karim el-Gawhari, who's in Beirut. Karim, Israel has ordered the evacuation of more villages in southern Lebanon. What do you know about that?
Yeah, 22 more villages with evacuation orders. There's quite some confusion because some of these villages got evacuation orders before. So people are very confused. Some of them saying these evacuation orders are just done in order to create confusion and fear among people. And of course, the problem is once there's one of those orders, the Israeli army considers anyone who stays in this village as a legitimate target. Now, I talked to some of the refugees who came from the villages in the south a few days ago, and they said, yes, some of the people in the village stayed back, partially, for example, to attend their livestock they have there, or to attend, I mean, most of them are farmers, to basically make sure that everything is okay with the farm and with the houses. So people are staying back despite of the evacuation orders.
Now, Israel has also expanded airstrikes to areas that have previously been spared further in the north. What effect does this have on the local population there?
Again, confusion. Basically, today we had two strikes, one north of Beirut in an area in the Christian mountains in a village that is about more than 80% Christians and the rest is Shia Muslims. This village was targeted, creating a lot of confusion because it's an area that was considered safe until now. Second attack in the Shuf Mountains. That is predominantly a Druze area where Israel is saying it targeted an office of Hezbollah. Now, the mayor of the town went on the record saying, we have no Hezbollah office in our village. He said what was hit by the Israeli army was an empty building where actually some of the people who escaped from the south were seeking refuge, and there were 4 people killed in this building, according to what the mayor of this village is saying.
Now, the Speaker of Iran's parliament came to visit Beirut today. What was his message?
Yeah, I mean, this is the second high-ranking politician coming from Iran. We had the Iranian foreign minister a few days ago. Message of today, again, very clear. He says Iran, under no circumstances, he says, will abandon Lebanon. Of course, the message is clear, will not abandon Hezbollah. He also said that they plan to do some kind of air bridge between Iran and the airport in Beirut with aid deliveries. Mind you that the Israelis, as just a few days ago, said that they don't want to have Iranian airplanes landing on Beirut airport. So again, a message of defiance from the Iranian regime and a message that Iran and the Iranian regime will stand behind Lebanon and will stand behind Hezbollah.
Karim el-Gawhari there reporting from Beirut. Thank you.
You're welcome.